I ended up taking June to his Ripper, who was not Vic, which irritated me. But in the end he was patched up and we drove back to the apartment. The horde of tiger claws around the apartment had thinned but not dispersed. In fact, many of them were settling onto steps, or in shop fronts across the street or in the area and just hunkering down. I doubt many of the normal people in the area were very comfortable with this. In the end though, I was too focused on my own problems. They had attacked me. I had honestly known it would happen. Expected it in a way, just without being willing to admit it could happen again. So like I said, there was only one option left for me. No, I shook away that night city blindness. I could run. Leave the city. I was a netrunner more than capable of keeping any records of myself off the web, and so I could disappear. But on the same hand, I fucking refused to run from scavs. This was my life. I was going to live to be old and decrepit, but I wasn't going to get there by hiding in fear. If I let fear win, I would just as surely be dead. Fear was the little death after all. So no. There was only one path. To fight back. Fighting wasn't something I was afraid of. But joining the Tiger Claws was. Being part of a gang wasn't just something I could walk away from. So I had to decide. Would joining them today, would getting their help in destroying any chance of the scavs fighting back be worth the shackles they would wrap around my ankles? Big thoughts? June asked, breaking me out of my spiral of thoughts. I don't know what to do. I don't want to. I don't want to be Motoko Kusanagi. Tiger Claw. It's not so bad. You'll have to start calling Fujimura, Summer. June added, and I snorted as I parked the Quadra. You are such a gonk. We didn't say anything else as we walked back across the street to the apartment. There to my surprise, Fujimura himself stepped out of his car and joined us, looking over June before nodding, pleased that June wasn't bleeding all over himself. Kusanagi. Are you fit? Yes. Only scratches. Then get your gear. We have a few locations we are hitting before the sun rises once again, Fujimura said, noting the dropping sun. Attention filled me as I felt my hands clenched. They knew where scavs were? No one not openly a member of the Tiger Claws will be welcome. He cut in, suddenly looking to me. I scowled in turn, glaring. Regardless of your feelings, Kusanagi. The scavs attacked a member of the Tiger Claws openly at home. So the Tiger Claws must act firmly. And it must be the Tiger Claws who do it. I'm not a Tiger Claw. No, you are not, yet you wish to join us in this regardless. Motoko. I turned to June and he reached out and placed a hand on my shoulder. You don't have to be afraid. I'll protect you no matter what. I'll make sure the scavs won't bother us again. If you don't want to join, then you don't have to, but if you do, I'll be there too. Why did everyone want me to sign up for a fucking gang? I turned away from the two bad influences and went into the apartment. I had some gear I needed to gather. Unfortunately, I was followed. As I entered my room, grabbing my spare ammo and things, I heard June and Fujimura enter the apartment. Fujimura's deep rumble, words unclear through the wall, but still telling. Fucker. I looked up and walked over to my little dresser, covered in old junk from the old Motoko. My stuff now, and hidden underneath it all? A menpo. The grin of an Oni looking back at me. June wore one. And he became an Oni for the Tiger Claws. I knew that was all he ever wanted to be. For June, that was his life. I glared at the mask, at the collar that it represented. My metaphors for prison implements were on point today, I guess. I pulled off my half jacket. Went searching for my gloves that I forgot to wear half the time now that my hands were chrome, and put them on. Without the jacket, my holsters were on full display. Normally I used the jacket to hide things. To show myself as less armed. Less dangerous. That wasn't the Motoko Kusanagi that I was planning on showing today. I reached out for the mask. And put it in the trash where it belonged. Fujimura thought he could entangle this tiger by offering up bait. A few scav dens. Who the hell did he think I was? Did he realize how many scavs I've killed? I loaded up on my spare ammo pouches. Slipped an array of spare magazines I had gathered over the months of looting all over me. My Lexington would have plenty of ammo. I checked my knife. Simple but clean and sharp. I stopped. I had put away my small half jacket, because it didn't feel right wearing it. Plus I had a feeling I was going to get shot a lot tonight. I could wear my Kang Tao armor? No, but there was my armored coat from my Section 9 gear. It even had a longer tail, sort of like a trench coat. I needed to buy a trench coat. The Major had a trench coat sometimes. The intro to Standalone Complex second gig. She had a badass trench coat. Or the manga. She had that cool white one. I shook it off. Kill scavs. Buy trench coat later. I stepped out, and I'm sure I surprised both men as I wasn't wearing the stupid mask. I reached out and grabbed my katana, slipping the sheath into my belt. I'm going to kill more scavs than your entire organization tonight. Just so we are clear about what is about to happen. My blunt declaration didn't faze the man who was sitting back on our couch like he owned the place. You could kill more with us. Maybe. But if you are killing scavs, and I'm killing scavs, that's just more scavs. Motoko. It's dangerous. If they know to attack us at home, they are going to be more prepared for you. They will expect retaliation. You can't just go out and hit them alone. Not tonight. Not after everything. Just stay home. We can get you help and... No, June, they can't possibly expect what is going to happen. Finally everything was clear. No more Tiger Claw politics. No more worry about stealing loot to pack away. Nothing to slow me down. Just me. And all the scavs in the city that I needed to murder as brutally as possible. Icy blood flowed through my veins, and for the first time since the attack, I had surety, a goal, and a path to follow without any confusing politics, or worries for the future. Damn it, Motoko. I already told you, you can't go alone. Just go put on the mask, and join us. We can kill them all together. But I wasn't interested in playing this like June wanted. I wasn't interested in playing at all. I'll keep in touch, June. I have to update Fujimura here with my numbers after all, I said as I walked out of the apartment. June tried to stop me, but I was already gone. He was too slow to catch up. I felt like everything was slow as I headed down the stairs. My boots didn't make a sound. I sent out texts to everyone ignoring June's growled words for me to stop as he chased after me. I hadn't even told Hiromi or my chums what had happened yet. I quickly sent off a text to them all, making sure they knew I had been attacked, and that they should batten down the hatches in case the scavs came for them. But that wasn't the only one I reached out to. As I hit the street and stepped out among the tiger claws all looking at me strangely, considering how militaristic I must have looked to them, I walked over to the street as my Kusanagi came rolling out of the parking garage and met me on the side of the road. Motoko. I heard about what happened. I nodded at Yoko's voice. That made sense. Yoko would likely have a connection to the TC considering where she lived, and I would likely show up on her trackers. Yoko. I'm calling in all the favors and everything you owe me. You gathered a bunch of information already, but I need every location of scavs you can find. Dens, homes, businesses, places being broken into. I don't care. If a scav is doing it, I want to know. That's a lot of work, Motoko. Not something your favors cover. I'll personally work on some coding for you in payment. This is important to me, Yoko. They tried to snipe me and my brother in my own home. I slipped onto the Kusanagi. It felt right to be on a bike for this. June was there reaching out to stop me. I hit the gas, leaving him far behind, heading towards my first target. After all, I had gotten some leads already thanks to the netrunners. A few emails between them and some code debugging had given me some information already. But I would need more. I wasn't planning on stopping. All right, Motoko. I'll gather together what I can for the cost of the favors I owe you. And I'll prep a few other things we can discuss the worth of after. Good hunting. The call ended. Good. I made another call. Still alive, I hear. Wakako. How much? I was blunt as I weaved through traffic. The Kusanagi roaring. I wasn't following the traffic laws today. Humph. This is how you ask for something from me? How much for the information I'm sure you already know I want? You are in luck. I have a gig that I normally would not have taken. In this case, Since it will already be cleared either by you or the kamikaze, it costs me nothing to have claimed the gig. I'll send you the details. I'll do it. The cost for additional locations? Ho? You believe you will not have your hands full already? All of them, Wakako. I'm killing all of them. How much? I will send you the costs per location. Do not overreach yourself, girl. You are too useful to me to have you burn out against such trash. I'm not dying. They are. I ended the call there, for once beating Wakako to the punch, and I sped off. Yet before I could do anything else, I answered the call that had been interrupting my call to Wakako for the last while. Hey Hiromi. Motoko. You're okay. What's this about being attacked? What happened? I can't talk long, Hiromi. I'm a bit busy, but just what it sounds. Make sure Malcolm and Ichi are safe for me. The scavs came after me in my home, so they might go after them, and you as well. Well, I'll be fine. I'll tell my dad about the scav threat. He'll make sure everything is safe for me. I already spoke to Malcolm and Ichi, both are okay, but Ichi is freaking out about his grandmother. Fuck. Hopefully I'll get all their attention here. Stay low, stay armed. Tell them that, okay? You should tell them that yourself. We should all meet up, we can bunker down somewhere and... Hiromi. I'm killing them. The scavs. All of them I can find. I'm not hiding. They attacked me at home. Fuck. Motoko. That's so dangerous. They are going to expect you if you keep hitting them. Do you even have information on places to hit? Do you need to do more net running? We can meet up at your basement and protect you. Why did everyone want to protect me right now? It was setting my teeth on edge. Protect, protect, protect. That's all anyone kept saying. I didn't want to be fucking protected right now. I wanted to fucking murder the bastards that threatened me. I bit it all back, going cold so I wouldn't snap at Hiromi. No. I'm not net running right now. No way to know how aggressive they might be on the web as well. I called Yoko just a bit ago. She'll do the info gathering for me. Hopefully. You have some contacts as well, right? Anyone that would know where scavs might be hiding? Doubtful. But I'll check anyways. Don't. You can trust me if you need anything. So call me all the time with updates. Sure, Hiromi. I'm going to go. I'll talk to you later. Later. I'll see you later. We will get some food. I mean at Motoko. Okay. I promise. The call ended. Okay. No more playing. No more gigs. No more wasting time looting. Just the sort of murderous rampage these scum deserve. I breathed out Arctic air. The Oni. He was riding the edge all night. He knew it. Fujimura knew it. Akari knew it. She just didn't care. She was a woman that was well over the edge herself. But June couldn't fall. He had to be there for Motoko. Kusanagi. Clean yourself. We will be at the next location soon. He nodded, grabbing a towel that was already coated in blood and wiped at his face. His hands shook. He couldn't even remember how many people he had killed tonight. Not enough. It would never be enough. The look of shock on Motoko's face. The horror that their home wasn't safe. He hadn't had the heart to explain that they would have to move. Tomorrow. After he had satisfied the bloodlust in his chest, he would be June, and not the Oni. He would explain it to her then. If she was alive. And not dying in some scav den, coated in blood and oh so small in his arms. He stopped thinking. That was something for June right now. He was just the Oni. Just the killer. The car stopped and the Oni stepped out. His katana creaked in his hand as he gripped the hilt. His mask was on. And he moved. The entire squad Fujimura had put together moved. This wasn't the first scav den they had attacked tonight after all. They all knew what to do. The Oni was the battering ram. Akari would move around and kill as she liked in support. Although he would have to be careful. She had used her Sandy a few times already tonight. There were a few others. Guns that the Oni knew, but wasn't close with. It wasn't like most of the kamikaze during the war were still as chromed up as Akari and Oni. No, it was only the two of them that decided to walk the edge. The Oni because he refused to allow himself to not be capable of saving her again. He couldn't allow himself to be that weak. Akari because she was already over the edge. Somehow keeping stable enough that the higher-ups hadn't forced her to dechrome, or called max tac. The elevator opened and the Oni put all such thoughts away. His blood roared, a fire burning through his veins. The fact he was so close to more scavs filled him with an endless rage. He raced down the hall. There was no point in silence. The Oni was pure brute force. Except he stalled when the door was already open. Instead of smashing through it, he pushed it the rest of the way open and rushed in looking for his enemies. Holy shit. Talk about a charnel house. Akari whispered beside him, as she looked around. The Oni had heard of things like that before when talking about scavs, but so rarely about the scavs themselves. The dead bodies, cut into pieces around the room, meant there were no scavs here. He wanted to rage. Wanted to smash a fist through the wall to let out a bit of that rage that now had no outlet. Who the fuck did this? He growled, glancing at the corpses. Akari was already peering into other rooms, and all she did was stick her head back around the corner and ran a thumb over her neck while making a choking noise. All dead then. What is the hold-up, kamikaze? I hear no gunshots. Fujimura-sama spoke into the group call, pulling his attention away from the dead bodies around him. Fujimura-sama. Place is already cleared. Akari responded with a chirp. And a few moments later an image of the room was sent into the group call. This place was known to the higher-ups, but no one should have struck it yet. We move on, kamikaze. Oh. I know who did it. Akari chirped. The Oni looked over, his eyes blazing in anger at Akari's games. Akari. I want answers, not games. Fujimura-sama coming in, cutting through Akari's games. She wouldn't have answered without constant attention. Duh. It's the Lug's kid sister. Katana wounds. Big asshole through this meat. She offered, kicking one of the corpses, something only June could see, but he noticed that there was a big hole in the corpse. What? June, no, the Oni asked, wondering what the fuck Akari was talking about. What, you think someone else came in here and cut down an entire den? It's your sister's Mo, isn't it? The heat in his veins dimmed. So Motoko had done this? She had already gotten some revenge? Good. That was good. He looked around suddenly with a surge of worry. Had she been hurt? Was she okay? He quickly sent her a text, asking if she was okay. Fine, June, busy. That was all he got back. Fine. Get back to the car. We will move on. Fujimura-sama cut through, and Akari sighed as she cartwheeled and spun over the corpses and headed for the door. The Oni hesitated, but followed after. He kept looking over his shoulder for some sign that Motoko really had done this. He stepped into the elevator in silence. His previous focused rage disrupted by thoughts of his little sister. He knew Motoko could do some amazing things. He had been there when she cleared that scav den after all. He had trusted her to manage as long as he was there watching over her. But the idea of her going out on a one-woman crusade terrified him. One mistake. That was all it took. But he couldn't stop her. He was going to break those stupid ankles of hers the next time he saw her. Stupid bouncy bullshit. The anger was back by the time he reached the car with Fujimura. There are other dens, he said simply as everyone slipped back into the cars and they took back off into the city. They continued on. Another den was found. A small rest stop for a group of scavs operating in Westbrook. The Oni enjoyed destroying them. The fear in their eyes as he ripped them apart with his bare hands was intoxicating. So they moved on. A bigger location had been discovered. After all, every Tiger Claw now knew that the scavs had attacked one of their own. Information was flooding in, every sighting reported, both from the actual members, or just from informants all over the city. The Oni had killed many of them tonight. He wondered how many Motoko had killed. She had confidently said she would kill more than the kamikaze. He would just have to kill so many that she failed. Then she would realize how foolish she had been and stay close. Let him keep her safe. That's all he wanted. Suddenly the car braked hard and June rocked a bit from the back seat. Oh, awesome splatter zone. Akari chirped out. She had taken the front seat and so she could see what had happened. The Oni peeked out behind her head and saw that a car in front of them had jerked off the road practically onto the sidewalk. A corpse smashed into the hood of the car. Huh? That's a scav. Akari laughed in delight. He realized she must have scanned the corpse. A moment later the Oni did the same and confirmed it. Scav connections. I believe we are directly under the den we came here to clear out. Kamikaze. Move now. Ensure no survivors. Fujimura barked and Akari was already out of the car running towards the apartment building. The Oni followed slower, but no less urgently. Could it be? Holy fuck! I whispered, staring as actual deja vu struck me. I had gotten some deets from Wakako about this location. After I cleared out her gig location, which was a waste of time. Only 3 scavs working in a small cell, but she had at least started selling me more info. Considering one of the places I hit had already been cleared out maybe an hour before me, I realized Wakako was being sneaky and selling me the locations the TC knew about. Whatever. It didn't matter to me. But I had pulled into an underground parking garage for this apartment complex, stepped out and walked to the elevator, and it was only as it opened did it strike me. I knew this place. I had been here before. Many times. The elevator was old. Covered in graffiti. Old metal that looked rusted and stained. But I knew where I was. This was the same elevator that V and Jackie would walk into in a few years to rescue. What was her name? Sandra something? The first gig. And I was staring at the entrance to it all. I checked the information. Floor 15. I didn't know if it was the same floor as V went to in the future, but it didn't matter. I pushed the nostalgia away. I stepped inside. The ride up was quiet. The elevator did stop on the 5th floor suddenly. The doors opened, revealing a normal-looking man that made to step in before stopping when he caught sight of me. Our eyes met. Then slowly the door shut without him making a move to enter. Kinda rude but alright. It continued on ever upwards, then it opened. A very familiar hallway. The room I was looking for was 1237, and as I approached I knew. This really was the first gig. Somehow I was here 2 years early clearing out a bunch of scavs. Wait, didn't they come back to this place again after V cleared them? Was I going to have to go back and check on all the previous scav dens to make sure they didn't come infest the place again? Once again I shook it off. I stood before the door. It opened with a look. The security far too weak to stop me. The familiarity hit me. The first room was beaten down, but mostly used as a kitchen. A table and food left out. To my surprise the place was quiet. No pounding music, or anything. Just an eerie silence. I moved to the doorway to the next room. Peering in. A Ripper lab. But no bodies were left around. It was kind of quiet. I nodded. This wasn't the first den tonight that had gotten word of what was going on. That had realized that the TC were hunting scavs dens. I had found one just before this den that had been completely empty. Whatever scav group that had held it abandoning the merchandise at the threat. I stilled before I entered the room. Something struck me as wrong. My eyes flashed into a scan and after a few moments I found it. A laser. The scavs had some brain cells after all. They had placed a fucking mine of all things in the little hallway. I remembered the last time I had tried to defuse a mine and scowled a bit. Fine. I leapt easily, avoiding the trigger and landing in the next room. Old blood, but no bodies. Yeah, they probably were a bit too busy to go clip some people. What with the whole territory searching for them. I moved. Eyes flashing in scans constantly to make sure I wasn't walking into another trap. The next room to my disappointment was empty as well. But I knew this place. So I didn't follow along. I moved towards the outside porch laughing as I followed the edge, and instead peeked in through the windows, uncaring that I was 15 stories off the road far below. The main room that I remembered had been secured up. Crates and couches set up to give cover. I quickly pinged the first gonk I could see, and hummed as the web of connections grew before my eyes. The connections to what I guessed were mines at the entrances were ignored. Not any danger to me. I moved, jumping along the edge of the building until I reached the second outer porch. To my delight, someone was out there, smoking a cigarette. I dropped a weapon glitch on the entire group as I leapt, landing behind the gong who was sitting in a crappy lawn chair. I prepped my leg, bringing it really far back, and then let it all out. His scream echoed long and loud as he went over the edge. Then it was on. I moved both hands full of gun as I leapt inside. Gonk number 1 got 4 Lexington rounds into his chest, dropping him. The next got a single shot through a wall. Boya as always dominating any lesser weapons, as that one round was all I needed. Then I came up to my feet facing the little main room that had all sorts of defenses set up. The scavs weren't slow. Weapons were raised. Triggers were pulled. Nothing happened. And then their eyes went dark. I tore through them. A monster gunning them down without hesitation. Their little pillbox of crates and armor turned into their tomb as I simply walked around the exterior and put bullets into bodies. I reloaded whenever needed, hands a blur. Rapid reload turning the act even while dual-wielding into a blur of movement and action. This group of scum wasn't even worth drawing my katana this time. I checked with a ping after I killed all the ones in front of me. Only the static mines and things registered back, but I wanted to be sure. No survivors. So I started walking through the building, checking every room, just to make sure. As I came upon the back door to the little scav den, only then reminding me that I didn't have to walk through the front entrance, I scoffed at myself as I opened the door and stepped out, casually wiping some blood off of my arms when I noticed it out of the corner of my eye. I blinked. "Motoko?" June asked as he, Akari, and 2 other men I didn't know were all piled in front of the main door to the scav den, looking like they were about to breach it. "Hey June," I greeted, feeling a little weird. Was it weird to walk into my brother in the middle of something like this? I mean, it kinda felt weird. "Motoko!" He roared and charged at me and I yelped, instantly my mind realizing that if I ran for the elevator June would catch me. Well fuck it, I turned back into the den and ran. Instantly I realized the problem. Mines. Fuck. I growled, drawing my boya and firing a single round ahead of me. Wincing as the explosion nearly sent me back a step, but that at least cleared the path. "Motoko." "I'm fine. Just watch for mines." They thought that would be enough. "Bunch of gonks, am I right?" I called back as I broke out into a run. "Motoko." June roared and I was getting serious Resident Evil vibes. Was June a nemesis now only able to yell out the name of his target? I ran to the patio and skidded to a halt as I turned, seeing June approach. "What do you want, June?" "I'm kinda busy," I called out, and he stalled at my sudden discussion, his face twisting into confusion before he glared at me. "This is dangerous. You are coming with us. We can Motoko," he yelled in horror as I turned and just jumped. "Nah June, I don't feel like being baby right now. Scavs to kill and all that." The patio was 15 floors up, and it overlooked a street far below. But across the way were more buildings and apartments. My leap took me out into the clear sky between them. The air rushing past me was exhilarating as I leapt from the patio across the gap between buildings. It was a far jump, crossing an entire street in a single leap. But I could make it. My ankles gave me incredible hops and I still had parkour and cat-like to handle the landing. I hit the ground and rolled, skidding to a stop, and then I turned. June was across the way, and a few floors up. Our eyes met. "No," I told him simply. Not that he could hear it. Then, just to prove the fucking point, I walked up to the edge, and leapt off that too. A single floor down I landed, and then bounced down to the next. I was about 13 floors up. 13 jumps? That wasn't exactly a problem. I left June far behind. Even if he took an elevator I would still be on the ground long before he could catch up. Down I went, parkour instincts guiding me into a delightful drop down the side of a skyscraper. I leapt, rolled, flipped, and slid down the building in a single natural movement that left me breathless in delight. Then I was on the sidewalk, startling more than a few people as I dropped from the sky to land in a crouch among them. I rose up, brushed myself off and walked to the crosswalk. Unfortunately, while that was cool, my Kusanagi was parked in the parking garage connected to the first apartment building. So I had to hurry to ensure June wasn't going to catch me. I took a second to look at a wrecked car on the side of the road. That hadn't been there before? Oh. That was a dead scav on the hood. I very quickly looked away and felt the urge to whistle innocently rush through me. Honestly, officer, I have no idea how that scav got there. As I slipped into the garage I noticed to my surprise Fujimura was there. leaning against a car, another car behind him. Huh? Well, wasn't my problem. I walked into the shadows and slipped over to where I parked my Kusanagi. Only when I started the engine did Fujimura twitch. My headlights came on, blinding him for a second, but then I was off, driving right past him. Our eyes met. Then I was gone. I had more scavs to kill. No time for politics today. Politics was future Motoko's problem. Akari. Okay, Jun-chan. While that is kinda annoying. Your kid's sister is fucking preem, cause fuck that. I would not jump off a fucking building like that. She chirped, standing beside the big lug that had been standing at the edge of the building, watching the tiny figure of his sister get smaller and smaller. She meant it too. A long fall like that was a good way to kill yourself. Being heavier than normal meant most Borgs didn't like heights. Too easy for something to give way and send you tumbling a few stories to your death. No response? Can't have that. She budged him with her shoulder, not getting a response even then. So she poked him. Fuck Akari. Jun-chan snapped, eyes blazing and growling. Ah, good. That's right, look at her. Pay attention to her. Oh no, Fujimura-sama. Jun-chan yelled at me. She whined aloud, not sending that over the call. Fujimura would just scold her after all. Come on, let's go. He growled, stomping away, although he didn't get far. He checked out the main room and the little bloodbath his cute little sister had left behind. Akari smiled, despite being a little scared at just how far out on the edge little Motoko was. Jun was stable enough, especially with Motoko helping, but who the fuck just walked through scav dens like this solo? Not just that, but did so as a teenager? Girl would be dead soon. She'd bite off more than she can chew. Or everything in Night City would try, only to find her too tough. Do you think your little sister is more like Gristle or fat? She asked Jun-chan, only to get ignored. Oh well, worse for him, she wouldn't share her worry about his sister's death then. Seriously, who jumped off buildings like that? She poked her foot into the guts of a scav, nodding as he didn't even shift. Dead for sure. So did she chip in a bunch of chrome or something? She asked honestly. There was half a dozen scavs in this room. In a little defended space, weapons littered the area. Enough stuff that Akari wouldn't have wanted to attack without her Sandy ready to start up. But she was already out of that for the night. Her neck still felt burning. Like when she burned her tongue while eating something hot, and then even if you are eating your favorite it doesn't taste right, only like burning. That's how Akari knew she had pushed her Sandy too hard. It had stopped feeling good the last time. Now it just burned. Motoko is a genius. She can do anything if she puts her mind to it, Jun said suddenly, with the surety of an older brother hyping up his little sibling. Yeah, Akari called bullshit. Motoko was kinda off. Had been since they first met. Not many kids are stupid enough to pick a fight with a cyber psycho. Akari had almost killed her that first time when she hadn't lost fast enough. No, even someone who could last with a katana against her wasn't enough to survive this. Too much experience was needed here. The warning about mines was telling, but more than that. A normal person couldn't walk against a defended position and just kill everyone. Akari looked at the numbers and decided instantly that alone this would have been dangerous for her. She likely would have been shot a few times. Come on. We have more scavs to kill. He grunted, not hearing her internal monologue, which was totally his fault. Jun should really learn how to read her a bit better. He wouldn't ever get into her pants if he didn't. Well, maybe even so. She followed after him, eyes firmly locked onto his butt. The sun was rising. I noticed it in surprise as I let the scav I had just killed was dropped onto the floor. Another small place cleared out. Only 5 gonks in this one. Just big enough to go kidnap a few people from time to time. Well, they were dead now. Until tomorrow night then, I decided, shutting off the BD recorder. I wasn't tired, but I was basically out of scav dens. I stepped out of the little shop the scavs had killed the owners for and taken over. My Kusanagi parked not far down the sidewalk. I walked over and slipped on. What a night. I didn't even want to look at my system yet. I had a feeling numbers would have gone up quite a bit. I would need some time to look it over, and doing that while driving was dumb. But I also wasn't ready to head home yet. I drove over to Lizzie's, I had a feeling since the sun was literally rising Judy would probably be sleeping, if the club was even open, but I wanted to drop off my new virtue to her. Scav Extermination, Night 1. Would probably be popular enough considering how many of the fuckers I had murdered tonight. Not that it was enough. I don't think it would ever feel like enough. I shouldn't have been surprised though when I pulled up to Lizzie's it was still open. Still busy. That's Night City for you. No Rita standing out front, which is a disappointment, but I was stopped before I could walk in, the bouncer in Rita's spot firmly standing in my way. If you are here for trouble, turn around. The bouncer said instantly. I could see the way she gripped her spiked baseball bat tightly that she was definitely uncomfortable. I stopped. Then I face-palmed. Shit, sorry. I'm covered in blood, aren't I? I asked rhetorically as I looked myself over and winced. Yeah, I had a few bullet holes in my leotard. My right arm was literally rusty red from all the times I slit someone's throat and got splattered. And I could feel some of my hair sticking together for the same reason. Just a bit. The bouncer said warily, and I winced. Dang it. Sorry, I was just here to drop something off for Judy. I didn't even think. I'll come back later. I said instantly. Yeah, I doubted the mocks wanted some crazy blood-stained teenager walking through their bar. You do that. The bouncer offered, but she wasn't calming down. I was probably throwing all sorts of cyber-psycho vibes. Which was totally unfair. I turned around. I would bother Judy later. I think I just needed a shower, and a change of clothes. The moment I walked into the apartment I was irritated. The bottom floor had a couple of tiger claw tufts hanging around, taking over the table that was usually used up by the old men to play their board games. They noticed me instantly and went for guns, then visibly relaxed at the sight of me and settling back down. Morning. No one has gone into your place. One of the men greeted, standing up with a lazy saunter of a man trying to pretend calm. I was still covered in blood after all. That's good. I muttered, not interested in this entire conversation in the least. Yeah. So you're the only cis, huh? You certainly got the same look, don't ya? Coming home covered in scav blood. How many of those fuckers you flatlined tonight, huh? He asked casually with a smile, and a weird slouch. It took me a second to realize the guy was trying to be friendly. No. Something was off. He was smiling a little wide, and the way he was dressed. Was this guy trying to flirt with me while I was covered in other people's blood? Well, I could certainly give him points for bravery. Yet, there was something still off. The way he moved. The way he looked. He was dressed nicely. High-end. The sort of look you would take out to a party, but not one where you would be stuck guarding some gonk's apartment. My nose twitched and I could even smell a bit of cologne. Wait. Was Fujimura going at me another way? Was Fujimura trying to honeydick me? Nope. I refused to even continue to consider this. I'm gonna go, I said instead of answering his question. I raised my hand and pointed to the elevator. Excuse me? Well, hey, you don't need to delta so quick. We're here to help out, you know? So you need anything? Some food? A run to the store for something? Whatever it is, we're, here to handle whatever you need. He called out as he sort of walked after me, but nope. I was not in the mood to deal with this. I refused to look at him too. I could already practically hear the wink he threw at me, and if I saw it, I might just have to punch him. I'm good. Thanks. I said and turned away from the elevator and jogged up the stairs. The elevator would definitely slow me down and end with me trapped in an enclosed space with him. My legs pumped as I hurried up the stairs, leaving him far behind.